Mo Salah is undoubtedly our most important player. With 51 goal contributions this season, there seems to be nothing stopping the Egyptian this season. Van Dijk, a true leader for the Reds, and a centre-back who will undoubtedly go down in history as one of the best. In today's video, we have some huge news about the pair after the latest. We will dive into this today, whilst going over all the latest Liverpool news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. But first, Gary Neville may find it hard giving Liverpool praise, but he has outlined what makes them different in the Premier League title race. The Reds are flying at the moment, with last weekend's win at Man City, followed up with a 2-0 victory at home to Newcastle on Wednesday. To most, the title is now done and dusted, but Arne Slot and his players won't allow complacency to creep in. There are many reasons for Liverpool's success this season, and speaking on It's Called Soccer, Neville admitted their ability to change their style of play has been key. I said it earlier on in the season, there was a game, I can't remember which game it was, where I thought that they played 3 or 4 different styles within a certain half, or within a certain game, Neville said. And that's what I like most about this Liverpool team, because we've been conditioned for years now to think you have to have this principle and this value and this philosophy of playing, you must stick to it. And then I see Andy Robertson lump one over the top for a penalty at Bournemouth. I see Virgil van Dijk playing 60-yard direct passes in behind. I see Trent Alexander-Arnold playing long passes in behind for Mo Salah from deep. I think, yeah, that's how football should be played. In fairness to Neville, this is an astute observation, with Slot so impressive in the manner in which he has been willing to switch things up this season. The win at Man City saw him showcase his tactical acumen, using both Curtis Jones and Dominik Szoboszlai as false nines, before a defensive masterclass in the second half more akin to a Jose Mourinho team. Slot then switched back to a more straightforward 4-2-3-1 against Newcastle, deploying Szoboszlai as a number 10, with Liverpool showing a great ability to adapt. As Neville alludes to, Liverpool are capable of a possession-based game 1 minute and a longer ball style the next, and it keeps their opponents guessing. Too often in the modern game, managers feel too stubborn and one-dimensional in their tactics, but thankfully, Slot couldn't be more different. Now in some huge Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk news, Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk remain in talks with Liverpool over new contracts, and there is optimism around the situation despite no breakthrough. Salah and Van Dijk remain 2 of Liverpool's top performers as they accelerate towards the Premier League title, which only magnifies the concern over their futures. But the expectation is that both will eventually sign new deals with the club, as talks continue with their representatives into 2025. The Athletic's David Ornstein has provided an update on the situation, explaining that there has long been optimism around Anfield regarding Salah and Van Dijk. The consensus around the industry is that maybe Salah and Van Dijk will renew, Ornstein explains, though he adds that nothing appears to be set in stone yet. It is maintained that Liverpool absolutely want to keep both, which is perhaps contrary to a belief in some quarters that those within the club would view either as too costly at their age. Given the delicate balance required and the long bedding-in process for the Reds' new regime off the pitch, it is no surprise that talks have been so drawn out. Trent Alexander-Arnold's situation is certainly different, with there no indication that the 26-year-old would prefer to stay and concrete interest from one of Europe's biggest clubs in Real Madrid. Ornstein adds that while industry sources expect Salah and Van Dijk to stay, there is a resignation that perhaps Alexander-Arnold will go. However, no decision seems to have been made as of yet, despite repeated links with Real Madrid, and Liverpool are similarly eager to retain their number 66. There had been suggestions that Vítězslav Jaros, the third goalkeeper who made his senior debut earlier this season, had also entered the final year of his contract. But that is understood not to be the case, with Jaros' future instead tied to Liverpool, albeit with a big decision to make in the summer over whether he stays as backup or heads out on a permanent basis. In other news, Arne Slot has once again spoken of his appreciation for Wataru Endo, lauding him as both a footballer and a person. The Japanese has become a cult hero since arriving at Liverpool in the summer of 2023, despite rarely managing to nail down a starting berth. This season, Endo has only started 4 matches in all competitions, including none in the Premier League. Despite this, the 32-year-old has still produced some intelligent late cameos, winning free kicks and breaking up play. Speaking to reporters after Liverpool's 2-0 win over Newcastle on Wednesday night, Slot didn't hold back in his admiration for Endo. I appreciate him a lot as a football player, but also as a human being, because no matter how many minutes the team needs him for, he always shows up, Slot said. the reason why he always shows up, and that is what makes him special, and I've said it a few times before, is players, and I have worked with many that were in a similar situation like him, don't always find the energy to train well the day after a game when they didn't have playing time or 2 days after a game. But it doesn't matter which day of the week it is, or if he has played, he always gives his best in every training session, and as a result of that, every time the team needs him, he shows up. That's a big compliment for him, that he brings performances in like he did today. This is the second time in quick succession that Slot has hailed Endo, recently describing him as special because of the ease in which he can get into a rhythm, even if he hasn't played much. The Japanese is the type of footballer that title-winning teams need. Unsung figures who don't make the headlines, but who use their experience expertly. If Liverpool do win the Premier League this season, as well as other trophies, Endo's influence won't be ignored by supporters, who will appreciate him long after he leaves. He has a role to play in the coming weeks and months, with his nous off the bench potentially valuable in the upcoming Champions League meeting with Paris Saint-Germain. Finally, Jurgen Klopp made sure to tie up all the loose ends before his departure from Liverpool last summer, including a surprisingly heartfelt farewell to journalists. It is over a year since Klopp announced his decision to leave Liverpool, and things have changed considerably since, with a new successful era beginning under Arne Slot. The release of the new documentary, Doubters to Believers, Liverpool FC, Klopp's Era, on Amazon Prime Video, has provided a welcome look back at the German's final days at the club as he prepared to say goodbye. That included a final pre-match press conference in front of journalists at the AXA training centre, joined by many of those reporters he entertained and clashed with in equal measure over the years. Klopp's personality made him both a firm favourite and, at times, a prickly adversary for the media, but his parting speech showed his appreciation. "I want to say thank you," he told those assembled at the AXA ahead of his final game in charge against Wolves, after instructing the usual press conference videographers to turn off their cameras. "In a completely crazy world which I will never fully understand, we are brought together in really strange circumstances. You want to know exactly what I don't want to tell you or can't. But the good thing about that, if you look back, is I can't even remember the problems we might have had. I don't remember it. So I'm at peace with you," joked Klopp, adding, "If this was the ref meeting, I couldn't say the same. They didn't ask me for a meeting, by the way. I put my feet in the sand now and watch from afar. Thank you very much, my pleasure." Klopp also gifted the journalists in attendance with bottles of champagne, while in return he was presented with a specially commissioned canvas to mark his time with the club. The speech showed Klopp's ability to put aside the normal conventions of modern football and view those he works with and often up against as human beings. During Doubters to Believers, he could be seen delivering personalised normal one Liverpool shirts to every employee around the AXA, with no stone left unturned as he made sure to show his gratitude. But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.